If you're a high achiever and you want to attract the women that you desire the most naturally, body language is one of the fundamentals you need to master. And in this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know about it, starting with one of the most popular ideas that you see out there, which is 93% of all communication is non-verbal. Now, I put a question mark next to it because there's a lot of misunderstandings about this. Now, I went ahead and researched the actual study that this quote or phrase or idea is based on to really understand it, because even myself in the past, I misunderstood what it actually meant. Now, it's based on a 1967 study by Albert Mehrabian, which was a professor of psychology in UCLA. And what he wanted to test is the following, is when words, so what you say and how you say it, your tone and your facial expressions come into conflict, what do people value most? Meaning, if you're saying, I'm fine, your words say that you're fine, but your facial expressions and your tone say that you're not, what do people value most in order to assess whether you're fine or not? And this is where the figure comes on. So 7% of people, or they value 7% what you say to establish whether you're fine or not. And the rest is a combination between the visual, so the facial expressions, and the tone that you have, which is your tone of voice. And this is what it actually means. Now, this doesn't mean, which is how it's many times quoted, that, okay, you can just go anywhere and you can talk to people and they will understand you, because 93% of communication is nonverbal. So everything you say, they will understand 93% of it because you have very good nonverbal communication. Like, that's not what it actually means. But what it says, it's actually useful for us to know. And when it comes to natural attraction, because why? Because many guys focus on, okay, I want to create some natural attraction with a woman that I really like. So I'm going to focus on what to say. I'm going to have the best jokes, the best stories, the best interesting topics of conversation. And my friend, that's not enough, because a woman not only focuses on what you say, but also on how you say it. And something else that we're going to talk about in a moment. But let's first talk about how you say it, because, okay, you can be in front of the woman and you can say, you look very beautiful today. And that's one thing she's going to feel. And then you can also say, you look very beautiful today. And the effect that this has on the woman is completely different. That's why also sometimes men say, okay, I just said the exact same words to a woman that I heard somewhere that my friend who is very good with women told me, but it didn't work for me. Well, it might be a lack of compatibility, but it also might be how you say it that is not ideal. Now, we're going to cover how to fix all of this. But first of all, I wanted to say that in my experience, it's not only what you say, it's not only how you say it, but what you feel when you're saying it. This is what I talk about, the emotional buttons, the power of this concept, which is that what you feel, she feels. So when you're in front of the woman, and again, just to put the same example of giving a compliment, you could give a compliment very nervous, very fidgety, and with a tone of voice which is unsure, and the woman is going to perceive it in a certain way. You could say, as I was giving in the example, you're very beautiful today. Again, very bad eye contact, uncertain voice. It sounds very half-assed, okay? You can say it how you can improve how you say it and be confident, be looking at the woman and say, you look very beautiful today. The tone of voice changed, the visual contact changed, the many things that you make her feel change, okay? But I also say what you feel, because there are men who can be very good actors. And actors are masters of what you say and how you say it. And the best actors, in my opinion, also master the what you feel. So you've probably heard about the method acting. So people like Brad Pitt for his role in Troy, who he was Achilles, they say that he didn't take a shower in 1 month, and he was the same character outside of set as well for the duration of the filming. The same with Leonardo DiCaprio, with Christian Bale. These actors which are so good, they get into the role 100%. They don't only read the lines and say the right intonation. No. They're actually that person that they're portraying. So what they feel in that moment, he was actually Achilles when he was filming Troy. Christian Bale was actually American Psycho, Patriot Bateman, when he filmed that movie. Leonardo DiCaprio was the Wolf of Wall Street when he was Jordan Belfort when he filmed that movie. And with a woman, this is the power thing. So when you say a compliment, what you feel in that moment, if it's actually honest, if it's actually what you believe, the woman is gonna feel that as well. And it's even gonna change the subcommunication that you have. So those facial expressions and the tone that you have is gonna change if you say it, if you actually feel the genuine emotions. So I just wanted to cover this part because I think it's an important overall concept to keep in mind, because we're not trying to become like actors who just play a role. No, you actually want to be that man who feels that emotion. If you're into a woman and you say a compliment, you actually mean it. Now, mind and body are connected. So there are two ways of changing your subcommunication and your body language. One of them is the external, which is actually changing how you do things. So you're working on your tone of voice, working on your facial expressions, working on your visual contact, on your tone, and many of the aspects that we're going to cover later on in the video. And this works, but there's also the internal part. So you could change how you feel inside of you, and that would have an effect on your body as well. And these interconnected. So I'll give you an example. So it's very good to be relaxed when you're with a woman. In general, it's good to be relaxed. This is something that goes beyond disciplines. It was funny because I went horse riding recently, and the instructor was talking about the importance of having a relaxed body. So you want to be actually hold with your legs, but the upper body, you want it to be relaxed. And I told him, it's funny because it's the same in kickboxing and martial arts. And he told me, oh yeah, I also practice it. And yeah, definitely. When you're relaxed in a martial art, it's also something very good. You can dodge the punches much better. The punches are stronger actually when you're relaxed versus when you're tense. And even the same is true in music. So I used to play the piano when I was a teenager. And being relaxed is something that changes completely the sound of the music. So you might think, oh, it's the same, you're just pressing notes in a piano. No, it totally changes. The most professional piano players are totally relaxed when they're playing. Also because if you have to be for 30 minutes, for 60 minutes playing, if you're not relaxed, your muscles are really going to be so sore that you won't be able to play. The same with anything else. So being relaxed is good. So you could think, okay, I'm gonna, before the date with a woman, drink some tea and do some meditation to relax myself. And that is actually gonna improve your body language. And also, if you're in a date already with a woman and you're sitting, if instead of sitting very bent forward and on the edge of your seat, you actually lean back, you're gonna feel more relaxed. So look at how this works. It's something that it's totally interconnected. The more relaxed that you are, the better body language that you have. It's a bit better than to be lean back than to be super forward with a woman sitting on the edge, like you're looking for something, like you're trying to get something. So you're relaxed internally, that gives you a very good body language. But you could also look at it from this way, which is that you could change the external part, your physiology, and that will relax you further. This is why coaches like Tony Robbins, one of the famous things that he does is that he does this priming thing where he gets people to jump up and down in his events. I haven't been to one of them, but I've heard about it. And he changes the physiognomy of that person, and that also changes the internal things that that person is feeling. So he's going to be more motivated, more active, more energized for the conference. So what you do externally changes your internal state, and your internal state also changes your external manifestation, so your body and your body language. Now, we're not going to focus on the internal part in this video, not too much. We're going to focus a lot on the external part, because the internal part is something that is also very related to your beliefs. This is something that I've covered in another video. You can watch it in the channel. And we're going to cover a bit more about the external. So what you can do externally to start having a better body language, and how that is also going to help you internally. So we're going to talk about 3 keys. The first one and the most important one is your grounding. So remember I gave you the example of the piano. So when you play the piano, depending on how you play it, like what you feel and even how relaxed you are, the sound is going to come out one way or another way. Well, it's exactly the same when you're speaking with a woman. So one of the things that my teacher used to say is, Armin, put some weight in when you're playing the piano. So put your whole weight into the piano. You're not just playing with your fingers, you're playing with your whole body, which means that when you press something, you're actually using your whole body to do that action. The same with martial arts. You don't just throw the punch with your hand, with your knuckle, you throw it with your whole body, starting from the legs, the hip, your shoulders. Everything is working together. You put some weight on that punch. Well, the same happens in your communication. So I see many men who are speaking with women, and it looks like they're just on their tippy toes with no weight at all. What they say, how they say it, how they move is very fidgety, and it's not grounded at all. And your grounding is one of the things that is going to give off a feeling of serenity, of calm, of confidence. The more grounded you are, the more confidence you feel, and also the more confident you're perceived. So one of the exercises that I like to do with my clients, especially when I was working with them personally, is that you're in the street and try to start walking, putting a lot of weight on each step that you take. So again, you can walk, like this, almost like you're on your tippy toes or without putting too much weight on your step. That's fine. But actually practice putting some weight on your step. And it's almost as you're going one way, the second. One, the second. And this might sound like, what are you talking about? I thought we were talking about women and how to create natural attraction. And this might sound indirect. But what happens in practice is that you're approaching a woman that you like. You're on a date with a woman that you like. And she's not only gonna pay attention to what you say, but also how you say it and what you feel when you're saying it. So we know that women like certainty. We know that women like confidence. So if you're walking in a certain way, which it's like you're on your tippy toes almost without any weight behind it, well, she's gonna feel that. And that is also gonna translate to how you speak with her. So You can speak with some weight behind your words and your phrases, or you can be very careful and again, almost like in your tippy toes. And this gives me to the second, this gives me way to the second key, which is your voice. One of the most common things that I hear from women is, wow, it looks like you've developed your voice. And I'm not the biggest expert on vocal projection and voice. I even had some some coach in the past make a video criticizing me and my vocal projection and saying that I'm like kind of like faking it somehow. And look, I don't know, I just speak this way not right now, but it is true that in the past I speak like on camera, off camera, with women, without women. This is how I speak. Maybe there's some things that I can fix in terms like in technical side, but I have seen a massive difference in myself ever since I started working a bit more on my voice and the way that I project, on the effect that this has on people and also especially women. So one of the things is vocal projection. You want to speak loud enough. This is something that plagues many men, which is that when they're speaking to a woman, they're speaking very, very, very low volume. The woman can't even hear them. And sometimes this is also because subconsciously they don't want people around to hear what they're saying, or they're a bit nervous about it. This is especially when you're doing an approach. So you approach a woman anywhere, like on the street, on a park, and you speak of it very, very low in case somebody hears you, and then you're caught doing something naughty. And of course, this is just nonsense. But this is something that even happened to me at the beginning when I was starting doing approaches, which was I approach a woman and I try to speak a bit low so that all people around don't hear and they don't understand that I'm doing an approach, something that is outside of the social norm, so to say, right? And then the problem is that this translates to your dates as well. So when you're on a date, you're not projecting your voice with a woman. And one of the ways that you can help yourself to project your voice is to imagine that you're speaking, first of all, from your stomach pretty much. So you feel how the air is going, like you're actually feeling your stomach and your chest vibrate as you're speaking. And it also goes up to the upper side of your mouth and then projects forward. You want to imagine that. That's going to help you to, again, project your voice and speak loud enough with a woman. And then we also wanted to cover the tone that you use. So as I said, this is something that was tested in the 1967 study by Albert Mehrabian, which is that the tone that you use is one of the most important things, especially if the woman cannot hear you. So you're like doing a phone call. I know that's old school, but it still happens. But the facial expressions, of course, very important. It was even more important than the tone, but the tone came second before the words. So to cite the study, when they put on somebody saying, even they couldn't even see the person, right? And the observant heard, "I'm fine," or "I'm fine." Well, when he heard the "I'm fine," the thing that he said is, okay, this person is angry, is not fine. When he heard the good tone, well, he said, yeah, that's congruent, of course he's fine. And this is true also when you're with a woman. So again, if you're with a woman and you give her a compliment, it's going to be very different if you give it with a tone of voice which is positive than if it's a tone of voice which is a bit uncertain. So if you say, "You look very beautiful today," the tone that you have is a bit uncertain. You're kind of like ending everything with a question. This is the inflection of your voice. It either goes up when you're making a question. You want your voice to go up so that the person understands that it's a question. For example, "Where would you like to go today?" That's totally normal. You can make a question like that. But when you're giving a statement like you look very beautiful today, you do not want to have that intonation that goes up, because then the woman is like, he's very unsure about this compliment, maybe he's a bit nervous that he's giving it to me. And this doesn't happen consciously, it happens subconsciously for the woman. So you want to practice this as well. One of the ways that I practiced it was with my friends. So we were trying to improve with women, and we would really make fun of ourselves whenever one of us spoke in such a way which was uncertain. So, so maybe one of us said, hey, let's go to the park. And if he said it, or let's go to have dinner. And if he said, let's go have dinner, guys, then we would make fun of him. And this was a funny way. And of course, we're like close friends. But it was a funny way to remind yourself to change the external. Again, there are people or guys who are a bit more on the internal balance of the things, which would say, what are you doing? You're trying to change something externally. The most important is that you feel confident inside. Then it doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. And yes, I kind of agree, but I believe that you can do both. You can change the internal, so you can work on your beliefs, on what you feel in each moment, your internal confidence. And then you can also change your external, because this is something that helps as well. One thing helps another. As I said here, they're interconnected. And again, the more we did this, the more we got used to speaking with a good tone of voice. So when we wanted to propose something or we wanted to lead, then you have to do it with a downward tonality. You don't have to do it with an upward tonality. It's like you're motivating, let's say you're motivating your team, your business. You're like, let's do it, guys. We can do it. We can do it. We're going to make amazing sales this month. It doesn't make any sense. You want to have the proper tonality. We're going to do it. We're going to have amazing sales this month. It's going to be one of the most amazing months that we have this year. So the tonality is something different. Now, one of the issues that I also see with some guys is that they hear about all of these topics and then they go right up to some insane extreme. So in some other videos, maybe you also heard, okay, you have to put your chest forward and you have to occupy space and you have to speak always with a deep voice and downward tonality, and then they become almost like a caricature. And maybe it's fine for a certain period that you go to the other extreme. So if you're in an extreme which is uncertain communication, upward tonality always, very closed off body language, trying to not occupy any space, not very comfortable. Maybe it's good that for a few months you go to the other extreme, which is, okay, I'm going to act like the biggest alpha in the planet, okay? But also understand that it's not about that at all. It's about feeling confident in your own skin and having a good tone of voice, a good vocal projection. But it's not about being the loudest or the most macho. I'm not talking at all about that. These is a continuum. And if at one point you're here on the left, which was my case when I was beginning, which was quite uncertain, because I also had an internal world with women which wasn't the best. I had to develop myself. It was good for me to, for some time, go to the extreme or trying to, be portrayed as very masculine and very, confident and very extroverted and all these things to calibrate a little bit. So sometimes you need the extreme to understand both sides and then find your own balance. And how does that look like? Well, it looks like you go on a date with a woman, you're mentally relaxed, you're not thinking about your problems of today in the business or tomorrow or any admin tasks you have to do. You're relaxed, you're grounded, you're just walking with her, open body language, good posture, good voice when you speak with her. You say, hey, how are you? Just very relaxed, very good visual contact, which is the third point I wanted to cover. Now, I will not extend myself as much as the two other points because I think they're more basic and they encompass more aspects itself. But with the visual contact, I just wanted to make a few clarifications, which is that when you're speaking to a woman and you're saying something important, do not look away. So if you're, let's say, a woman broke a boundary that you have, or she was late, you do not have to look away when you say that boundary to her. You say, hey, I think it's very important that you come on time to respect my time. If you say it like that, you can even say it with that low tone of voice. You don't have to shout at any point. But if you just say it looking at that person, the effect that it's going to have, it's going to be different than, I think that you should come on time when you're with me. It's a bit different, the effect that it has. The same in a positive aspect. When you're giving a compliment to a woman, if you say, you look very beautiful today, and you do it looking at her in the eyes, the intensity and the genuine energy and the feelings that you feel and you give off the woman are completely different things. And giving a compliment to a woman that I like is one of my favorite things. This can go against the beliefs of some red pill coaches or seduction coaches who say, do not build up her ego or something like that. But I believe that if you do it from a good place and you do it with the good fundamentals, it has an amazing effect on that woman if that is genuine and you do it with the correct body language. So again, I was describing how it looks like in the end. You just have a very grounded energy. Whenever you say something, you communicate it with weight behind your words. And you're not fidgety at all. So many guys are a bit very nervous and always moving and gesticulating a lot, but also very fast and chaotic. And that gives off very uncertain energy to the woman. So you want to slow down. One of the exercises that I used to do with my clients is that I heard them talking super fast in an interaction or with a woman. And I said, okay, what we're going to do is that you're going to speak even slower than usual. You're going to go on the other extreme to understand that you need to slow down a little bit. This even happens when people do public speaking. So they start speaking super quickly because, they're nervous and, hey, I just saw you and I wanted to come up and say, hi, what's your name? Again, with an approach at the moment. You want to slow down. This is especially true when you're approaching a woman in public and you want to meet her. Many guys have this feeling that they have to say everything very quickly so that the girl doesn't go. And this is the funniest part, right? Because I've heard many interactions from men that I've coached. And it's the total opposite. So what did we cover here? What you feel is very important. What you feel, she feels. If you feel and you speak and how you speak it is very fast and very fidgety and very nervous, the woman is going to feel that. And she wants to run away. She wants to go. She doesn't want to stop. But if you go and you slow down, you're like, hey, excuse me. I just saw you and you're very beautiful. I had to come and say hi. And again, super calm. You're not on a rush. You're just there, taking your time to say what you have to say. You're not in a rush. The woman is going to feel that as well. I haven't had interactions where I literally approached in this exact way and I said, hey, excuse me. The girl keeps walking because I don't walk with her. I just stand grounded here. And then the woman turns back, looks at me, listens to me. I just catch her attention and she comes back. And this is what happens when you're grounded. This is what happens when what you say and how you say it and what you feel when you say it is grounded, is relaxed, is calm. That's what you want to do in your interactions. That's what you want to do in your dates as well. It's completely different when in the date that you've had with a woman, you've been fidgety and you've been nervous and you've been rushing and not leaning back, but being super forward and avoiding eye visual contact. And then you say, hey, would you like to maybe come up to my place and have a drink? Versus if you've been super relaxed, just leaning back, enjoying the time, being present, good visual contact, good tonality, good voice, vocal projection. Now at the end, you're like, hey, would you like to come for a drink at my place? And you say it looking at her eyes. The effect that's going to have is going to be completely different. And this even changes the dynamics and the frames of the relationship. Whenever there's some situation that is uncomfortable, a situation that you want to change, or standard that you want to make clear that this is important, if you do it with a good body language, it's going to have that much more impact. And this is one of the very good examples of very good body language and very asserting, dominant body language is Tywin Lannister from the series Game of Thrones. So this character doesn't shout usually. He speaks normally, but he has very good body language. So he has the way that he looks at people when he tells them something, the tone of voice that he has, the way that he moves, the way that he carries himself, the grounding that he has. It's completely different. And there's one scene in that series, Game of Thrones, which is that Tywin Lannister, they're in a council with the people who manage, the realm, and his grandson, which is the king at that time. At one point, he, shouts and he puts on this show because he's super young, right? So he doesn't have the experience to be grounded. And in that moment, he says something bad to Tywin Lannister, like, you didn't do anything, like shouting and super emotional. Tywin Lannister, just for like 5, 7, 8 seconds, just looks at him in silence. And then you can see how the boy starts losing his confidence. And then Tywin says, the king is tired. Take him to his chambers. Like he orders him to go to sleep. In theory, he couldn't because he's not the king is him, right? But he's just ordering the king to go there because he has that certainty. Of course, he has the power as well, and he's the true one who has the relationships, blah, blah, blah. But in that moment, you could see a total contrast because between that, young, super inexperienced, and guy who's trying to put out the bravado, speaking loud and being emotional, versus that grounded, that masculine, confident man. And that's what you saw. You can look it up. You can look up Tywin Lannister sends the king to bed. And you're going to see that scene. And you're going to know what I mean. So, in my opinion, this is one of the most powerful things that you can do with a woman, especially if you combine it with that internal change. So internally you feel grounded, internally you feel calm, relaxed, and then your external communication is also on point. And the exercises that I will give you for practicing all of this is that you actually record yourself. So do as if you're approaching a woman in the street, record yourself, okay? And see how you're speaking. Number 2, go in front of the mirror and do the same, and now focus on your facial expressions. And only these 2 exercises are gonna make you realize, oh my God, how am I speaking? You can even record yourself speaking on camera if you don't usually do it, because I'll tell you that one of the most cool things that there is out there is that when I was doing all of this changing myself, I also was doing videos. So I have videos of myself in the past and videos of myself now, and I can see the difference in communication. And especially when I started recording myself more consistently, and I would watch myself, I would be like, oh my God, there is so much to improve. There is so much feedback to get and change things. And even now I try to I watch all my videos, of course, and it's one of the things that helps improve your communication. So actually record yourself just talking about anything for 5 minutes. You don't have to post it anywhere, just for yourself. Record yourself and then watch it back and look at all the times that you could have done something better. So your posture, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your visual contact, and everything that we cover here. So that's it for today's video. Just to sum up, we covered how the 93% nonverbal rule, how it's in actuality, which is that when what you say and how you say it come in conflict, people look at what you say in almost 100% of cases. What you say is important, how you say is important, and also what you feel when you're saying it is important for a woman in order to create that natural attraction. Mind and body are connected. There are two ways to change your body language, internally and externally. And I believe that the best is a combination of both. So you relax yourself before a date or before going and approaching women. You drink some tea, you listen to some music that you like. And also, externally, you put your body in a way where it can be relaxed. Instead of being like this, you're a bit more open. You allow yourself to breathe. You lean back. That's going to help you with being more relaxed. And then 3 keys for your body language. The first is grounding. For me, the most important one, because it encompasses everything else. You want to have some weight behind everything that you do and you say. You want to have a good vocal projection, so the woman has to be able to hear you, and also a good tone. Be very careful with the upward vocal intonation, and usually try to do either neutral or downward vocal inflection. And when you're doing questions, of course, you can do the upward one. You don't have to become a robot. And then finally, the visual contact. Make sure that in important parts, intense parts, when you're giving a compliment, when you're talking about the standard, when you want the woman to pay attention to what you're saying, that you do not look away. So that's it for today's video. And if you're a high achiever who wants to create natural attraction with the women that you desire the most, to either meet your ideal girlfriend and start a healthy relationship with her, or enjoy high quality dating in abundance, then you can go to armengoribian.com is my website, and you can look at my story, see if it connects with you, and if it does, you can book a call with me to see if it's a good fit for us to work together. That's it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.